Hello and welcome to this live code hangout. Today we're going to work on the workouts project. The goal is to start moving from the project mindset to a product mindset by building some monetization features into this open source project so that I can host it as a software as a service and at least recover infrastructure costs of that hosting. There's some features I'd like to add to the project that will introduce costs, and while it would be nice to provide those features for free, then I would just be paying out of pocket. Specifically, I'd like to be able to synchronize the workouts that we're tracking in a cloud instead of in the user's browser. So when I save a workout here, let's see something original 3 cents, and then mark that as complete. We have a history here. This is only kept in the local storage of this browser. So if I switch over to another device, like a phone, my workout history is not going to follow me. I'll have to start a new history, and that means that the features won't really be useful if you have to switch a new device or if for some reason you reinstall your browser. So clearly there's a need for a cloud sync, which immediately introduces a cost, and the cheapest I can figure for the infrastructure to store these, there's free tiers for Firebase, there's free tier for Superbase. So I'm thinking about using one of those services or just a generic VPS host with a Postgres database. That means I would need a more complex backend service than I'm probably ready to develop. So I'm considering using this open source software as a service template because we're already using SvelteKit. I'm leaning towards Superbase. They have a pretty generous free tier. I don't know at what threshold that this project would necessarily kick in and start needing some cost, but their free tier includes up to, I think, 10,000 and monthly recurring users, monthly active users. And we also need a way of taking payments. I'm already using Tailwind and Daisy UI, and essentially Superbase is built on Postgres. So I'm going to try, I think the goal of today's session is just to try getting some of this features ported over to our project. We won't maybe necessarily use wholesale all the features from the SaaS kit, but I think use it as a reference for our generative AI, for example. So I've got the project open locally. And another aspect is I'd like to continue developing this more full time and would need some kind of revenue stream to continue that. You know, either GitHub sponsors or Patreon or some YouTube advertisement revenue, something which is none of those are materializing. And you know, it's a long shot to start your own company, but I'd like to do these open source projects and find some way of getting a essentially income from that while maintaining integrity with the open source values. So I think what we'll do is create a branch. It's an experiment. And I think I just cloned this. Let me double check. Which I've kind of already created a fork here. And I can't remember if I had done any other changes. And maybe I actually don't need their code for reference. Maybe I direct reference. I can do maybe a more clean room implementation. It really boils down to Firebase versus Supabase. I like Supabase because they're also open source, and I think I would like to support their work. Cool, CAD assistance available. So let's go with Supabase. So we're working towards this incrementally, hey. This is already a really big request, but we're in a branch. Actually, let's call the branch Supabase. Just make sure I did get the latest main. We'll switch over to agent mode here. Database is good. We will want I think that's it. Mainly the Supabase auth. We'll need that. I'm giving it the navigation menu so that it might know to add the login component there. I should have done a little research here. Yeah, we don't have a user models, Superbase.js. We've given it a Copilot instructions, which tells it about our project, some of this, code style, as well as package management. Now it's going to create a Superbase directory in the library. And you can see it's running the commands. It's able to get the output and see errors. It makes this error a lot, that the app directory, because it's already in apps. So navigation menu has changes. It's going to add some stores. Interesting. Not sure. So we have login, log, and OAuth even. And reset password. Wow. Log out. Okay, current user ID. This will be essential to know that the user is logged in. Switch mouse real quick. Data model, repo, and it's also mirroring our collection. This is really an incredible amount of work. It's doing just so quickly. So this database model, shared data models between Dexy and Superbase. All right. This is going to be very tricky though. We'll need row level permissions, security. I'll probably just drop the prefix from that, but that's okay. Svelte being more full stack framework oriented, especially Svelte Kit, comes with some batteries included that you wouldn't get if you were working just with React or Create React App or whatever the current convention is. You would have to be using Next.js. I think it's kind of the alternative to Next.js. Okay, so it's still working now. So now we'll have an auth dropdown. Wow. And again, we're in a branch, so all these changes are, temporary. Our current main branch is going to be functioning. Welcome to the chat, SpeedBee. How are you doing today? And let's see. Navigation menu, I'll drop down. I'm still wondering if we needed a package. Cannot find that. Here's the Superbase SQL. Create a Superbase account. The app directory is Superbase credentials, yeah, and run the database. Completed exercise ID, exercise ID, completed ID, user ID, metrics, JSON-B. This is excellent. So there's a couple of red squiggles. We'll come back to in a minute. I suspect once we pass. See, there's errors when we run in the dev environment. Hop back over to the browser. And we may or may not need that. It's sorted to give me a... Alright, we got an internal error. Cool. It's actionable. I think it's because I need my Superbase credentials. Superbase URL is required. Yeah. All right. So we'll set that up, and it gave me these instructions. Superbase account and project at superbase.com. So we'll do some of this on stream, but I've got to be careful here once we're logging in. Actually, let me just hop over so I don't get surprised. So essentially what we're going to do is we log into the Superbase project, and I go to a table editor and I create a new table here. That's what I'm doing off stream a little bit. So, and that code came from this. So if I just copy this, create a new table. And we already have row level permissions. This is really good. I'm just going to be using the following SQL. I've done this before. SQL editor. Actually, I misspoke on the Superbase UI. You go to the SQL editor to create a new table. And you run that query because it's doing several things. It's creating a table, enabling row level security. All right. And then I need to copy over my configuration. I mean, it's really nice. Superbase is really well polished. And then I need to set these environment variables. And essentially, this should be in ignore. It's an anonymous key, but I think I need to protect it in any case. Let me just do this off stream. Okay, so I guess it's a public key, which that's interesting. Anonymous key. Now we're gonna try running it again. And when I view the page, we have a login. It's looking pretty nice. Now I'll have to register. Okay, so there's an improvement we can make there. Interesting. I think it's because it's going to need to validate this. Yeah, it's definitely trying to validate the email. Crazy. I did get my sign up. I can confirm it by clicking the link to localhost and welcome to workout. So I'm logged in. Crazy. Man, it just worked. So much easier than, creating a whole Django backend or Rails or Laravel or even something with a node based. I'm trying to think what are the options there. There's not a lot full stack or full-fledged. All right, so yeah, let's continue. My authentication, I see my table, my user there, and it's signed up by the email provider. So I think the main UX improvement would be that text. And there was some issue. And this is deprecated now. Copilot can fix this one. Again, I'm not super familiar with these technologies. I'm taking more, it's like a vibe coding approach, you could say, but it's, trying to be an informed vibe coder and understand a bit, keep my eye to the sort of path that we're trying to go, where the goals are. Yeah, it's true. It's a bit of a problem. Using the new rune syntax, I did put that in the Copilot instructions. I think I'll solve this one in chat with the agent mode, and I'll provide it a little bit from the docs. I have two browser windows open, so it's a bit challenging, but there we go. NPX SP migrate app state. Let's just see if that fixes it. Really like. Interesting. I really like Svelte and SvelteKit. Strange. Let's try running it here. Dang it. Well, we'll paste in the chat. Maybe it'll run that npx migrate app state. And you'll notice the same error. User source migrations. Migrations. Well, I think I just need to create it. That auth just working is so cool. I actually haven't tested storing an item in the database. Let's get this fixed real quick. It's a squiggle. It's not essential. I should commit those changes. For some reason, it's going through the styles. And there we go. Okay, so we just need to remove the $sign. I think that got carried over from the previous code. So again, this is vibe coding, and I'm not catching probably obvious errors to somebody who's more familiar. That's one of the hazards of leaning on these large language models, is the familiarity drops. But at the same time, I'm able to get familiar through observing the code, reading the code, and understanding it. So it's, I think, not black or white. Like some people are just saying you don't learn anything in this process, and I think that's a bit of a naive view. That actually, yes, I do learn quite a lot, and I have a bit of a framework or a schema of knowledge though to support my learning, which I think is good. And there's just a lot of detail in these frameworks that takes a long time to learn, so it's nice to have a model support that. Okay. Nice. Switching to state variables, and it should have done that honestly using this these runes on the first shot, but okay, it didn't. And some more changes to the styles. Okay, maybe it'll just indirectly fix this login form as well. Let me go ahead and fill up my water. I'll be right back. It's made the changes. All right, so it's using the Svelte 5 runes syntax and a bit of change to the styling. Ooh, I'll just go ahead and take that. Sometimes Claude and these agents do a little bit extra, Claude in particular, which can be good, but can be also bad. They can remove code that was working previously. Just use the event attribute on click instead. All right. Same here. All right. So these are subtle changes that are coming in Svelte 5, and Claude is probably trained mostly on Svelte 4 code bases. It would be nice to have a way to, similar to add the latest documentation, similar to Cursor, or was it Cursor, I think, does this. Okay, so I needed to run it. Let's just see if I can do that now. No, it's some weird thing. Run that. Log out. I'll log back in. It looks a little bit better. Registration, just checking it out. I saw teeth. Didn't mean to do that, seriously. Alright, there's just a small tweak I'll make there, but let's go ahead and this is nice. And I like that it actually prioritizes the existing user as opposed to the new user, because I don't know, it's just something that bothers me when I go to a website and I'm like, where's the login button? The register button is like right there in my face, call to action, because clearly they want to onboard new customers, but like, hey, don't just forget about your existing paying customers. So let's go ahead and get this auth drop down. I'm just going to add a little bit of padding. Two. Oh, whoa. Cancel that. This is the wrong place, but here. I have to be a little more careful here. Well, that doesn't look too bad. I'll put that there. Submit button. MT2. I just went a little bit. Okay, so I just typed it wrong. I should test a forgot password flow, but hey, this is really good progress. Let's commit this while we're here. I'll have to think about changes. what was I going to say? Let me check. I'm going to make this real quick. But basically the sequence of like making these changes. Oh, sorry, yeah. One thing I'm going to want to do is sort of like these end-to-end tests, perhaps somehow abstracting the auth provider. Let's replace that. Because it's not like read. Specific thing, you know. That's better, a little bit better there. And I need to do that in my actual environment now. Whoopsie oopsie. Whoops. Well, it's my anonymous key. It's Dingleberry. It might be that this is only client-side stuff. And when I start to add auth route guards for the subscriber features, I think I'll need to be more careful with the key and have more server-side code. Is it dangerous to leak my Superbase anon key publicly, or is it designed to be shared publicly? The short answer, no. The Superbase anon key is specifically designed to be shared publicly in front-end code. We must ensure your database is protected by proper row-level security policies. Okay, so we did add that. Very cool. No name. I like it. I like SvelteKit. Okay, you get a little bit of an error there, but crap. Oh, it's because I changed the environment variables. Now we're good to go. Didn't I change them? I can fix this. That's the weird thing. What I think is my client's got some caching going on. So let's rerun this. Open that. Crap. It doesn't seem like it should matter. Unless there's some magic going on there. Why would Superbase care about Vite? It just is strange to me. Maybe that has a different meaning. Alright. Anyway, we're going to commit this because it's working. And let's go ahead and generate a workout and record something. 3 sets of 10 reps with, let's say we did 10 kilograms. Okay, now we have our first error. This is because duplicate key value violates unique constraint. Completed exercise P key. Okay, that's not what I was expecting. Alright. Claude, help us out here. Help us out. I think this is going to be in the database layer or the Superbase client, but let's see. Page Svelte, Superbase repository TS. Alright. So we'll just give it all these. Page Svelte. This is super exciting though. This is a really fun way of coding. Superbase. It's its own thing. We were in the database TS because this is an internal library. Boom. You know, it's like having a superpower. Some real skilled coder who is able to help with very kind of narrowly defined and specific requests. And you can't just say, you know, like, make me a workout app that tracks the user's workouts and uses Superbase authentication and displays a graph of. You can't ask for everything in one request, like Lovable Dev is trying, but this iterative approach, and you iterate at the right level of granularity, just like you would be developing a regular project. It's like having a superpower. But it's nice we have this beautiful error message. I like the aesthetics of Daisy UI. Issue is causing that conflict. The problem happens when trying to save a completed exercise to a Superbase with an ID that already exists, which violates the primary key constraint. The current implementation attempts to use the local DEXI ID, which might not be unique globally, in saving the Superbase. Interesting. We might need a UUID for that record for the document. But it's strangely, when I was inserting the first record, so there shouldn't have been a conflict there. Superbase can makes sense. It should be noted, and maybe it's not, I'll have to double check that oh, I see, it's an auto-incrementing ID, never mind. The exercise ID is more like a foreign key thing. But this ID is the, okay, database identifier. Okay, so I like that. Superbase handling its own row identifiers. Now we're going to generate the workout. We'll clear this. And we're going to do dumbbell forearm rotations, 3 sets. Ten reps, 10 kilos. For forearm rotations, yeah, 10 kilos is good. And then we're going to fix these in a minute too. Mark has complete. Huh. So yeah, let me double check over here in our database. Man, Superbase is really cool. It's got a schema visualizer built in. We got tables. I'm digging this. 5 columns. I wanted to see the row level data. Maybe not. We're going to do our best to keep the data anonymous, so we don't have to worry about too much about privacy. You have the email. Yeah, I'm just going to, it's basically pasting the same error back to Claude. I don't know why. But it does give a bit more. No, it's basically the same area. Looks like we're still encountering a duplicate key violation when saving the complete exercises to Superbase. Fix that previously made isn't working properly. Let's take a closer look at that. We might need just a mapping function that essentially is what this is. Save completed exercise to Superbase. It's kind of mapping, well, this right here to Superbase format. I think so. Where we should actually be doing that removal. I can see what's causing the 4.9 error. Although we've added code to delete the ID from the Superbase exercise object, there appears to be an issue with how the error handling is propagating, or the ID is still being included somehow. Ooh. Hold on a second. I think in this case, we have a mapping function. I think that should be. It's optional, so actually we don't need to worry about this, but inside this function, we just do that. So we wouldn't need this anymore. And this is actually a redundant comment because we're sort of saying that here, we're doing that. Why do we have this select here? I don't know. Hey, welcome Nordic DE. How are you doing today? Okay, so from my perspective, refreshing this, generating a workout. Windshield wipers, 3 sets, 12 reps. Mark is completed. Yeah, it was a lot simpler of a solution. Let's double check. But there it is, windshield wipers. Yeah, when we have the mapping function, which is very common when you're going between different formats, models, service layer, and a database layer, for example, to have these functions, which are nice because then you can unit test that real easily. that you do any transformation as long as it's not business logic. If it's just mapping fields, that's about as clean as it should be. Just mapping fields and omitting fields is one thing you were doing there. Sometimes transforming formats from like a date string to a date time, for example, the basic things, but don't introduce business logic at that layer. We've been caught by some bugs where we've got some funky stuff happening there. So now we're persisting the data in Supabase, and I'm going to just double check over here on line 5 columns. Rows estimated. I wonder why estimated. View in table editor. I don't want to edit the table though. I want to. Oh. These are all my where do these come from? These are my experiment ones where I was developing it. That's a bit confusing. I don't think I created that many records during development, but I could have. And it just synchronized everything to the cloud. That's interesting. One thing missing here is the user ID. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's right here. Wow. Interesting. So this is backward compatible with the current deployment. Which is this has only been an experiment this whole time. 111 of those. Craziness. Wow. Move ID from Supabase to error handling. Wow. So I think in a nutshell, this is like what we set out for this feature. We have a workout history, but the weird thing is, why aren't my exercises appearing here? And why do I have 111 exercises in the database? All right, can I sort it by the timestamp? And these are all my user. But they're not coming out in the view. So I think there's a little more work to do. I'll tell Claude about this. And the basic thing is, if you are signed in, if you're an authenticated user, it should synchronize the exercise. I'm trying to think carefully here because we have a chance of supporting offline workflows because we have this local database that can synchronize to Supabase. When you're offline, you can still record your exercises. Yeah. I think Superbase is designed for this, for synchronizing data. So let's go ahead and see what we can get Claude to do. I'll just mention and I think this is, if we just pass a couple of things, we're going to pass the view. It's already got in this context the database and Superbase layer. It's a bit annoying how these do that. But essentially, we're just at the route level of the history page. I think that's sufficient. So if we look at the history page, I see. We need to look back at that. And so the database layer, this get completed exercises by date range needs to have it has this equation. 413. Okay. There it is. Wow. It's just because I hadn't developed it in a couple of weeks and we have a default, kind of conservative default. Wow. Everything is just working. I can't believe that. It was like really just 10 minutes of code. Now the next aspect to make sure things continue to work and you have a maintainable project, not only do you need good architecture, which we're kind of following, we're breaking things down modularly to, granularly into small modules or libraries, but we need test coverage. Okay, so let's see. I think we've got a coverage reporter. If I check out our package JSON, test coverage. Okay. Just the newly created code, I think it's kind of cool, but we'll see what Claude does. So we'll see if Claude will run this command, get the output, which I just did. Q there. Or if it'll manually try. Okay, so now it's going to try to run the test coverage command as I suggested. It has this recurring thing where we're already in the, actually we're in the source directory. So it needs to use an absolute path. Okay, so there it goes. Now it's got the right path. It's using absolute path to grab the coverage. Hey, welcome, Mr. Bailey is me. Welcome to the chat. And the protagonist one, welcome also. I'm suspecting we might have sometimes we're having chatbots that come in and they come and go. They do a little bit of spam posting. We'll double check the protagonist one. No, that's looking like a pretty legit username. It's hard to tell, but I've been having this recurring chatbot that's posting spam messages for this social media sort of engagement service. I'm not sure why Twitch can't just clean that up. Anyway, I'm automatically blocking those. So yeah, we're building a software as a service. We're first just persisting data in Supabase. It's really a great developer experience, in fact. Very advanced aesthetics and usability. It's built on Postgres, so it's very mature. It provides a lot of features. So far today, we're using authentication and the database to persist the data here. This is a personal workout tracker, software as a service. I'm using a boring market that's already saturated with a bunch of apps because I know there's a demand there, and I want to kind of build my own app. And the idea is I've got to get this year, 2025, out of the project mentality where I just build open source projects, get into the product mentality where I'm like, okay, now I've got something. How do I help people find it and use it? How do I sustain the development process? Code is open source though, if you want to check it out on GitHub. I'll link that over here in just a minute. So yeah, I want to still do open source and everything, but I've got to kind of find a way to sustain. Oops, now this is waiting for this was paused here, so it was waiting for that. For me to hit Q. Interesting. Oh, because the tests are in watch mode. If we run test, yeah, I'm not sure. By default, watch mode. Alrighty then. So it's gonna now know our coverage and particular lines of code that are missing coverage. The problem, yeah, it's also noticing our regular TypeScript and even some build artifacts, which should probably be excluded. So now it knows the exact files, and we're gonna need test coverage for those. I asked it for only the new files, Claude, but I don't know if Claude is going to look in my Git history for this branch to see what files have changed. I think it's just going to try improving the overall test coverage. I'll take a quick break and be right back. All right, so it's starting in with the models. It's kind of the core components. And it had low test coverage. Admittedly, models don't have a lot of functionality, but they're core to the business logic, so we should probably just check like if there's mapping. They're just mainly interfaces, so this is probably important to test. And that. We need those mappers. And for our local database, I probably should have implemented UUIDs instead of these regular self-incrementing strings. Auto-incrementing integers, I mean. I believe Superbase is using UUIDs. Because the user could be. It's not null, it's set right here. Strange. Oh no, sorry. User. This is weird. Why did the imports matter? Why are the imports all the way down here? That shouldn't be necessary. The test shouldn't depend on import order. That's very unusual. Testing is like one of the hardest parts of coding. It's often hard enough to figure out how to implement things. Having Claude really blaze through the implementation is like pretty amazing. But yeah, when it comes down to making sure things continue to work or work as we're expecting, then tests become essential for both like human development contributors as well as these large language models, because the large language model can run the tests, get the failures, and iterate based on those failures. So this is the one. Use your last callback on a function. Okay, cool. Might have been trained on an old version of Superbase. We'll fix these type errors. I'm going to let Claude go ahead and continue to iterate for a little bit. Nice. One thing is, Claude sometimes prioritizes the context it has in memory, including the prior changes that it had made, which may in some ways ignore changes I made, or the actual code as it's existing currently. Like, that's a bit of a bug in my opinion. It should always prioritize the code that's saved, the latest version of the code in the buffer and not so much in the chat history, because we don't remove the IDs in the way it was doing. But okay, I see now. It's just making sure that the field isn't there yet. Alright, man, some of the comments are a bit redundant. Crazy. Some of these, oh, okay, this is deep in the super base. It's mocking that. Okay, yeah. Mocking the upsert function, I see. In a way, I guess it's a pivot or an inflection point where I can decide, do we want to support the local database feature, or do we just want to go all in on Superbase and start building out more monetization features? It's a bit of a trade-off, because with the local database, I can just deploy it to like GitHub pages and it'll work. It'll track your exercises. But there's some important information that I'd like to add to the exercises, like images or animations showing how they work, which then starts to introduce kind of resource costs just for even an S3 or some sort of storage to host the images. You know, there can be some exploding costs there, especially if they start getting crawled out of control. So yeah, I just want to be cautious with any features that require resources, that they're behind a kind of a subscription, a minimal subscription, just to cover costs and continue to fund the development process as well. Okay, so now it's going to run the test again. A couple of failures there. We'll go ahead and just keep the changes it's making so far though. Okay, so now we have some actual server-side rendering, so it's changing the way we're going to have to deploy this app. Yeah, synchronizing, that's crazy. So some of the tests might not be isolated. It's only making changes in the test, and mock. And this was one that I made just to clear out something we weren't using. Oh, wait. Oh yeah, so these are, and then they linted that. So, I think I can commit this. Yeah, so this current iteration, what it's doing is should only focus on tests. Yeah, and mocking is incredibly hard as well. You have to know the interface that will be used in whatever you're mocking or the contract. This is a pretty big task it's taking on. So it's just asking me if it wants to continue iterating. Alright, we're going to run the tests again. Wow, only one failure. So undefined from the result. This could be because we're stripping out the ID. And I suppose we want, we have a to and a from mapping. So we just want to be careful not to strip it when the Superbase user is authenticating. Interesting. One failing test. This is amazing. And we'll check our coverage again. And again, this helps not only me to understand the code and the expectations better and other contributors to this project, but a large language model is going to use the output of these tests to verify things are working correctly in the previous state that they were, or when making changes, we might also need to modify the tests. I can also add these tests into a continuous integration pipeline, which I believe we'll set up actually. In this pull request, we have the CI pipeline. Let me just double check. And we are running the tests. Okay, so we're good to go. Yeah, it's been a little bit since I've worked on this project. That means every pull request, though, all of our tests are going to run on each commit that we push to the branch. So try to keep the commits local as long as as many of those as I can, and then push once I have something that I want the CI to run on. And it'll gate our pull requests as well. It won't let us merge until the tests are passing. It doesn't mean we'll have enough improved coverage, but there's also a CI script you can use to measure the coverage and use that as a quality control gate. Okay, it's going to run the tests again. Oh, this is such a hard one. Undefined to be 90 to be a number. Yeah, and so I think it's boiling down to our mapping function. I think it's in our database TS. We have a map function that we strip out that ID. So it's not properly returning that. This might break other. We have to think of the expectation here, but we had to add this in order to avoid the sort of collision, the uniqueness constraint. Each ID needs to be unique, and since we're not using a UUID in our local database, we're using an auto-incrementing number. We had this issue, and maybe the solution for that issue of stripping out the ID wasn't the right one. So now everything's running, all the tests are passing. Wow. But we may have a regression. I'll need to make sure I can still save records to Superbase. So that's important, that's essential. And then we're going to clean up these kind of squiggle things. So we'll hop over to the browser. Make sure that, and I want to clean up the little console warnings that we were having as well. Let's see. So we're on the dev server. Refresh the page just so we do. And today we did windshield wipers. We're going to add one more. Generate a workout. 5 items. Incline push-up. Set 3 sets of 10. Mark is complete. Saved it. Completed. Let's see what happens when I hit that twice. Okay, so let me record it twice. Interesting. Okay, that's just sort of a feature we'll iterate on. Also, there used to be a delete button. So I think we have test coverage and no regressions in the functionality after manual testing. We will commit. We will run the coverage. So yeah, let's come back to this. I'm going to tell it to ignore those, and there's a little bit more coverage that we should introduce. I'm not sure if this is taking into account the playwright end-to-end coverage as well. Maybe it's aiming just for the TypeScript coverage. So we'll start here at client. Start at the top. So we'll highlight the specific line of code so we can see it down here in the context. And I'll pass that to the agent mode because it's able to function a little bit better than this inline helper for whatever reason. So yeah, we created this interface here. All right. Just got the red squiggles there. And we're gonna run all the tests again. Same problem here. I don't understand why. This is strange. This is strange. Import aftermarket. Oh, I see. Yeah. Right. Let me just clean that one up. This is the key thing. Mocking is fairly difficult. You have to know basically the whole contract, the whole interface you're trying to simulate or implement here. Now, wants to make sure the tests still pass, which is excellent. No more squiggles. Tests are passing. Very cool. So we have a similar issue here, which essentially all of these lines of code are failing or are warning us. So again, just highlight those lines. There's one line at the end. Maybe it'll do that. Automatically, if it looks for these TypeScript errors, sometimes the coding agent can actually just use the IntelliSense or the language server to get these same TypeScript errors that I'm seeing. So it needs to get a proper user here. The context is getting a bit long here. Claude's forgetting some details like how to run the tests. I'm not sure if there's a workspace metadata that I can help with there. And the last one. Okay. Let's see. All right, starting from the top, just make sure I get these in the correct order, so that they're all included. Number 1. I think they're kind of repeating the same. Welcome back. We are just fixing these last TypeScript errors about the function signatures for our mocks. Again, we're mocking things, so we need to have the right interfaces or signatures. And that's one thing that makes tests more complicated. You have to know the expected behavior. You have to set up a situation to get the behavior to either happen or not, and know how to isolate the behavior in the system you're testing, including third-party components like remote services, how to isolate your local code so it's not actually dependent on the runtime. Environment, it can run in any environment, in a development environment. Hey,
the underscore and ever
Thanks
underscore world just
it.
followed.
What's up? How are you doing today? Welcome to the chat. I'm building a personal workout tracker. I'll show you the app real quick. It's essentially not running right now, actually, but it's open source, so you can check it out here. It's built with SvelteKit. Really nice developer experience. And I'm now integrating Supabase for a backend. So you don't have to sort of do all the work of creating authentication and database and all that. It's all part of the Supabase product. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So right now I'm in the phase in general of I do these projects, open source projects, and I enjoy sharing those and sharing what I learn as well. But I know the importance of switching from a project mindset to a product mindset. In a project, you're focused only on the tech, and the outcome is like building something. But a product mindset, you're focused on people's needs and connecting with those needs, connecting those people with their needs, solving their problems, for example. It's a different perspective, and often it involves a project, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you can just help people solve their problems without any tools necessary. So I started this project and with my own personal needs to track my own workouts. So that's a good start. Scratch your own itch, they say. You gotta go. Okay, well, thanks. That's what I'm building, and good to see you. Nice to meet you. Hope to see you around soon. We're waiting on this code to continue iterating. And so it's running here. I can demo it. Exercise library and custom workout generation, and in a history tracker. No name. So one thing is Supabase has a free tier, 0 a month, up to 50,000 monthly active users, and a fairly decent amount of bandwidth and database. Then the next tier, it jumps up to 25 a month, which ain't so bad, and may start to incur some compute costs. So I have to be aware and be savvy to that. Yeah, so I don't have to solve all these TypeScript errors, but it's just really nice to know that our interfaces are correct, and TypeScript is here to help us make sure that it's looking good. That things are looking good. We just have to know what's the structure here that we're supposed to be returning in this value that's resolved from a promise. I don't know that answer, hopefully. More flexible mock that satisfies the functionality needed for the test. Okay, that's cool then. So I just got an email that another Superbase project that I started to experiment with Superbase is going to be turned off, and that just means I haven't used it in more than 7 days. But they mentioned that somewhere here. Once you go to the pro level, then they'll just keep your thing running. The problem I have with this is that it jumps. If I want backups, for example, longer than 7 days, 14 days isn't actually very long. I need to jump to 600 a month. Like, I can understand 600 a month for HIPAA, SOC compliance. These are like Sarbanes-Oxley, I think. So financial security and health security, additional members. It's a big jump, though. The log retention is actually not super long in either of these cases as well. So unfortunately, Superbase isn't going to be the solution for everything. I might need to look at something else for longer term backups as well as logging. But one thing I'll mention is that's nice is that they're not charging per user, per seat. It's just this flat fee. So I mean, in a way, their pricing is fair, and even the kind of CPU resources that they're selling, 15 a month for dual core 2 gigs. It's competitive. This is kind of competitive with DigitalOcean and other VPS providers. So they're not like going all out like AWS expenses can explode. Let's just ask if it'll continue now. I think we have a few more things. Jeez. But now it's going to just manually fix the TypeScript errors here. I mean, this is actually an important thing. Is do we need to test the Superbase library itself? In other words, this repository, how much of this is just Superbase functionality? And how much of that can we just rely on to be functional? Crazy, though. And it has row-based security, so it needs a user ID. Admittedly, though, this is one of our more central and crucial components, the Superbase repository. So if these are meaningful tests is another question, but we want to make sure it works. that our repository is doing that. We're mocking return value. But this is eating up our context. I'm going to run out of the daily context for this test suite. This is incredibly complicated. What is an R? Response, I guess. Wow. Just to get some red squiggles. We're gonna get them. We're gonna get those red squiggles. Jeez. The thing is, I did save the tests that were working. Okay, we're still iterating. I'll be right back. Just commit these. Very close. And I need to run the tests again now. Clearly this latest change, I think this test won't run. I see, I'm just mocking it there. And whoa. Instead of creating one, I think we wanted to do that before each. No, I mean, this is a good place to do it. It seems like something that should be handled in a before each. Pass the area message. Yeah, now we're gonna go. Come on, Cloud, we're on the brink. Again, I don't have to commit this. It's a very substantial amount of changes that have happened in the process. We've lost this function. To create a mock Superbase client, I believe. Yeah, we just need it to use the existing one. We may not need a function for that. We have this already. True, I didn't notice that. Okay, we're at just over 2 hours. We're very close. The code was working basically within, I think, the first 15 minutes, maybe the first 30 minutes, I don't know. But the remaining time has been really getting it tested and fighting with a little bit of the complexity of the tests and mocks. Admittedly, it's important. It's like 2/3 of the time, roughly speaking, to testing and the remainder for implementation, and a little bit of planning and research involved, looking at the pre-existing SaaS boilerplate and determining if I want to start from there or kind of start a little bit more from scratch. Wouldn't call it white glove because clearly the model has a lot of latent knowledge about SvelteKit and Superbase and things like that, but a little bit more isolated development. I think we should just actually return the Superbase mock. I think it's actually stuck in a loop. I'm just going to create a new fresh instance. Okay, we're so close. We have this. Just editor config here. Nice. This is a really big file, very complex test, almost questioning how well our code is isolated. So we're clearly needing to mock the Superbase interfaces here in the test to isolate it enough. And we're burning through a lot of the Claude requests, which is really amazing. It's giving us so much context window for the Claude 3.7 Sonnet model. I might be able to switch to 3.5. I don't know if those are using the same quota. Yeah, so that's okay. And we might even try Claude Code on this. Okay, at least now we're failing with. More clear messages. Oh, get completed exercises by exercise from Superbase. Should get completed. Okay, so it's failing. Which means the mock is not returning. This is a crazy complex test, man. Interesting. Ooh, we're still a lot of calories undefined. Okay, now this is just the data structure coming back. Yeah, so. A little easier to fix. And some of these I think are a bit much. We might not need these many metrics: heart rate, incline, resistance. So it's a deep equal test that it's missing, or these fields are undefined essentially. Ooh. Is this because we're trying to run our end-to-end tests? Yeah, playwright tests are failing. Alright. Well, that's good the unit tests are passing. And we do want these end-to-end tests to pass. Great news, all the unit tests are passing. There, you're seeing the terminal related to the test setup and expected error case, which is good. Aren't actual failures in test field, but that's an unrelated issue at the top level. Oh wait, and one of your client files is not compatible with your target environment. That'd be a separate issue to fix. It wasn't part of our original task. All right, no need. That makes sense. So we'll commit this. Yeah, that's fair. That's a big scope, but and what's our command here? So let's double check the end-to-end test command and see if we can get some assistance fixing that. Playwright test. So what I'll do is I'll start a new session. Just going to run the command. Seems like this should be moved into the Svelte app and maybe used in the router or something like, or the common layout or something like that. So let me just do this. I'll say, what is a more idiomatic way of integrating a Superbase client into a SvelteKit app? And in particular, I guess we can look at the layout. I should have said I want to avoid the inline immediately evaluate function. Okay, so searching the code base. And here we can also refer to the SaaS starter. I think it's something like this. It's actually a pretty good example. This is changeable implementation, but luckily we've got everything committed previously. This might mean another round of testing. It's deprecated. don't think we need this. So let's see. Let's leave it as it is. I'll use a follow-up. To improve this sort of client implementation. And let's just make sure it's working still. So I think we're good. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and push these changes up. We'll roll these back because that's a deprecated library. I think we've made a really good progress. Publishing the branch, quite a lot of lines of change, improvements in test coverage. So we've got basic authentication now, which is a really great step towards having a product, getting in the product mindset, not just a project mindset. We can have people sign up and you start using the application. And that's what connects your project to actual people, having generally authentication, although the anonymous app could be useful to people as well. But in order to have a product, you need also, not only need users and people who are benefiting from the project, but some kind of revenue stream to sustain the development. And that's the key distinction. So we're one step closer to that goal. The next goal will be to add a Stripe payment processor and a subscriptions data model that allows people to pay a moderate subscription fee of like a few euros a month, monthly, or 50% discount annually, and store their workouts across time, as well as benefiting from other features like the animations and extended descriptions, which takes further resources. That's the key. As I add these features, there's going to be a cost out of pocket to keep the service running. And I'd like to ask a fair fee from the people who are using it and enjoying that to cover costs a little bit of the infrastructure and the development. Cool. Here's the pull request if you want to just check it out. The code is open source, so I'm trying to maintain integrity by developing open source projects and tools that people can use and learn from, but also trying to sustain the initiative. So I appreciate your time. Hope you're doing well and have a great day.